disappear, and with them there will be a huge chunk of Quran that no longer available to anybody else. So he decided to instruct Umar and few other people to go and sit at the door of Masjid al-Nabi and ask anybody who walks in, and this is the exact text of the hadith that they have in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. Anybody who walks in, to ask them whether they have any pieces of the Holy Quran with them. And if they said yes, ask them if they have two witnesses, two male witnesses that they can support and this claim that this is from the Holy Quran. If they do, then collect it from them and we put it together and we come up with some kind of Quran. The problem for such a claim is that it undermines the validity of Quran. Because, and by the way, we are not, the Shia is not the only one who says this. At the moment, even the Christians use these ahadith that exist in Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim regarding the collection of the Holy Quran and focus on the fact until the collection, let us assume that it was done by Abu Bakr, Umar and somebody else, until the collection was complete, what is the guarantee that between the death of the Holy Prophet and this period, bits and pieces of the Holy Quran has not gone missing? Particularly when we look at few of ahadith, al-Mu'mineen Aisha says there was a verse in the Holy Quran, go back to Sahih Bukhari, if you want I can give you the hadith number, was bigger than Surah Al-Baqarah. It was written on a piece of papyrus. The goat came into the house and ate the papyrus, and we no longer have access to that surah. Or some other surahs and chapters in the Holy Quran, which makes it problematic. Shia says no, by the death of the Holy Prophet, Quran was fully complete and compiled. This idea of Abu Bakr telling Omar telling Abu Bakr or something about the death. If Abu Bakr was aware of the danger that this might happen with the death of the reciters, do you think the Holy Prophet wasn't aware of it? And he didn't do anything about it? So that is something. We don't want to get into the discussion. There are a huge number of books written about these issues that you can go either ask me and I will send you an email if you want, or not, you can research it yourself. With regard to the beginning of revelation, Shias claim that Mab'ath, the beginning of revelation, is on the 27th of Rajab. Sunnis claim that it was the 27th of Ramadan. Why? Based on this verse that I just recited from Surah Al-Baqarah, that شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. Quran was revealed in the month of fasting. So it has to be during the month of Ramadan. Shias respond that Quran had two types of revelation. One revelation in its totality that was on the heart of the Holy Prophet. And another type of revelation that was continuous over 23 years. The continuous revelation started from 27th of Rajab and continued until the death of the Holy Prophet. While the collective or the total one descent from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the heart of the Holy Prophet came during the month of Ramadan. We will discuss it inshallah in coming nights. So from the Shia perspective, the 5 passages of Surah Al-Alaq came during the 27th of Rajab. Sunnis claim that it was during the 27th of Ramadan. But these are minor differences. Despite such difference of opinion, Muslims hold utmost respect for the Quran as the literal word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that came revealed to the Holy Prophet. Allah self-discloses, that means tajalli, shows Allah's nature into these words, Allah's character and everything else. That's why we have so many ahadith that when you recite Quran, tadabbur is necessary, reflection and thinking What is it that Allah is trying to talk to us about? Your prayer is your conversation with Allah. But recitation of Quran is Allah's conversation with you. So you have to pay attention. Muslims consider Quran as the ultimate source of the divine guidance. And these are some things that the Holy Quran itself, if you look at various verses in the Holy Quran, Quran says it, that how do Quran defines itself? Quran says it is a book of guidance, divine guidance, with instruction and guidelines as how to live righteously. Quran is full of these instructions. This was revealed to the Holy Prophet. And also, the Muslim consider Quran as the source of all legal and jurisprudential laws. There is not a scholar in the world that wants to give an opinion. Yes, they might misinterpret the verses of the Holy Quran, as the Wahhabi so-called cult scholars and some other ulama that they have misinterpret the word, but ultimately they have to rest their opinion and their fatwas on one of these verses in the Holy Quran. So Quran is considered to be the source of legal and jurisprudential laws, where Muslim scholars rest their legal opinion on the verses of the Holy Quran. Quran serves as the source of a spiritual foundation. This is something that we have talked about during the previous nights. Once we define what type of qalb it is, qalb al-salim, the more spiritually inclined and less spiritually inclined, these were taken from verses of the Holy Quran, providing an excellent moral and ethical framework for the Muslim to behave. In this turbulent world that we have, the Holy Quran, if understood properly and followed, can be the foundation for spiritual comfort. But this if is the biggest if that we could imagine. Muslims consider the Holy Quran to be the living miracle. Between all the books of Revelation from Nuh up to now, we have no access to any other revealed book but the Holy Quran. As far as the book that was revealed to Nuh, we have no access to it. The book of Ibrahim, we have no access to it. The book of Musa, it was completely destroyed. So the Pentateuch that at the moment we have as what the Jewish, they claim to be part of their books, is something that was created by the rabbis and the Kohens during the Babylonian Exodus when they went to Iraq and Hilla, and then they came back to Jerusalem. And it was up to at least 200 years after the ascension of Isa to heaven that they were still debating about it. Second century of current century. As far as the book of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, Injil, we have nothing. We have no Injil. What we have are what we call texts that were written by individuals that they even didn't live during the life of Prophet Isa. Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John, they have not seen Isa at all. They have picked up a name. The church gave them this unique name to confuse those people who are reading this book, thinking that these are the disciples. These are not the disciples. If you go back to the history of the analysis of the historical documents about the New Testament, none of them had seen. Even the oldest of the Gospels, between 35 to 50 years after the demise of Isa. So that is not the book. We don't have Injil. There is a claim that the book of Barnabas has little bit of amount or probably more from the original Injil. But book of Barnabas is not accepted by the church as valid. There are a few copies of it in the Vatican Library, and during the Ottoman period they managed to get one copy, I believe, which was in Istanbul, and some copies were uh, some tech. I mean, this book was copied and sent around. So we have the book of Barnabas still around. The church refuses to recognize that as a valid. They call it apocrypha and it's weak and so on, and they don't accept it. Despite all these references, Quran says, وَقَالَ الرَّسُولُ يَا رَبِّ إِنَّ قَوْمِ اتَّخَذُوا هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ مَهْجُورًا. That, O Lord, indeed my people have taken this Quran deserted and abandoned. We have no shortage of reverence given to the Holy Quran. But why is it that Quran says that the book has been abandoned and deserted? Before we begin discussing other aspects, I want to draw your attention and ask, if we are honest enough, have we abandoned and deserted the Holy Quran? And what does abandoning of the Holy Quran mean? If we want to answer this, we have to look at the way we treat the Quran in our life. Hajr, muhajara, tark means to leave something. Though immigration in Arabic, muhajara, you leave your place of original residence and you go somewhere else. I come from Iraq, I left Iraq somewhere else. Somebody else goes from Pakistan, comes over here. Afghanistan, India, Russia, somewhere. They leave the place of original abode and they move somewhere else. So metaphorically speaking, we are, when we talk about hijr or هذا القرآن mahjura, means we have abandoned it, we have left it. Are we claiming that Quran is no longer among us, or there are something else involved that we really need to pay attention to? Quran concept of I don't want to interrupt my lecture, but next time, once you wake up or walk out of here, you will not come back. Is that clear? So when we talk about hijrah and mahjura, are we claiming it's one of the meaning or possibility of the meaning of hijrah is we don't study it? Quran is no longer understood deeply, and many people might recite the Quran and understand nothing of it. These are examples. Without comprehending and reflecting on it, on its meaning and messages, and as a result, intellectual engagement with the Quran is not done. So that's a type of hijrah, abandoning. Quran that was supposed to be the center of attention, and as we progress to other nights, we will talk about this. A hadith, a khutbah from Nahj al-Balagha, and other things clearly reminds us the centrality of Quran in our existence as Muslim. And we get to the stage, even the best of the best, their understanding of the Quran, the adults within the family, the blame is not on them. The blame is on the adults, on us. From the moment that they were born, in our program, there was no hierarchy, no importance for understanding and teaching of the Quran. In the same manner that there was no program for teaching them Arabic. The language that connects them to the culture and the history of Islam is not English. The language that connects them and links them to the history of Islam and its culture is Arabic. So if your child is devoid of that understanding, they have to read an English book that would teach them about the Arabic culture or Islamic culture. So it could be interpreted, Quran mahjur in our time, in ittakhadhu al-Quran mahjura. Ittakhadhu from literal point of view means you hold the Quran in your hand and yet you don't behave like somebody who is dealing with it. اتخذوا القرآن مهجورا. So we have the Quran in our hand, but we have no intellectual link with the Quran, no intellectual engagement. As a result, this book becomes a stranger in our hand. Go back to Battle of Siffin. Now they have this film about dreaded Muawiyah around. And Battle of Siffin, when he was just about to be defeated by Malik Ashtar and Amir al-Mu'mineen, he put the Quran on the spears. And Imam said, Ana al-Quran al-Natiq. These are pieces of papers. When Quran doesn't reflect justice, when Quran is being used to support injustice, when Quran is being used to support hypocrisy and tyranny, that's only pieces of Quran. That's what the problem that we have. So abandonment also could be when we turn away from the Quran and rely on other sources for information and for guidance. Our reliance on the Western sources of guidance is much more than our reliance on the understanding of Quran. On a spiritual level, Quran is supposed to provide us with the foundation for a spiritual movement. We have no understanding of the Quran, and we don't rely on the Quran for a spiritual movement. Neglect in practice, which is very critical. This is the foundation. All the ahadith that we have reminds us that the Holy Quran is not just a book of recitation and then put it on the mantle until next Ramadan. Quran is a book of action. That means you learn from it and you implement it in your life. Now, I have to ask this question, to be honest. If my child doesn't know Arabic, doesn't know how to read Quran, how many times have I read and understood Quran and practiced the Quran in front of my children so they become aware that this is a book of action, not a book of once a year in the month of Ramadan? I remind you, this generation that is in front might understand a little bit of Arabic because you force them to come to Sunday school or anywhere else. When they grow older, and there is no impetus for their children to learn Quran and Arabic, because at the moment there is differences when it comes to linguistic between the parents and the children. They need to gargle some Arabic to be able to speak, or Urdu or something else to speak with you. Once they become fluent in English, there is no reason to learn Arabic anymore. The next generation abandons Arabic completely. And then they have to go to the university, to the school. After a while, as a course in Arabic, they are the first generation or second generation of from Arabic speakers. They have to go to the university or school to take an elective course in Arabic language, or in Urdu, or in another language, or in Persian. Our children, we have failed when it comes to dealing with them. Let's be honest. Let's see how do we deal with this living miracle in front of us. We keep the book in our cars, in our businesses, and in our houses as a source of barakah. We never touch it. If you go into the house, there is some kind of Quran on the top, so you pass under it. It's left on the mantle that you occasionally pass by, and that's it. Remember, every time the Catholics, every time they see the cross, they go through the motion. That's exactly what we do. We go through the motion in front of it. So only for barakah. When there is a bereavement or marriage, Quran is pulled out and put in front. Most of us come across the Quran only from Ramadan to Ramadan. Even if we touch them. Other people don't come even close to it. And others none whatsoever. Sometimes we treat the Quran for mumble jumble and what we call sorcery. Oh, jinn has come and taken over me. Can you come and recite few verses of the Holy Quran and wave some of these to remove the jinn? On a grand scale, we organize recitation. I've seen it in Pakistan, in Iran, in Iraq, in other places. Grand recitation and competition program. We invite what we call world-class reciters. For what? As a source of entertainment. The reciter recites, and then the whole people stand up, Nare Haydari, and that's it. Then we go home. This is what we deal with the Quran. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Look at some of these. Thousands of people are sitting there and waiting for the long breath of one of the reciters for them to jump up. How many of them practice Quran in their life? Learning of Quran by heart and hifz becomes a profession, like everything else. So Quran as a book that commands us to do أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. Why is it that they don't reflect on the Quran? Is their hearts locked? كتاب أنزلناه إليك مبارك ليدبروا في آياته, so that they reflect. Every one of us. Let's tonight when we go sit down and see, okay, where did we go wrong? My child, when he grows old, he cannot understand Quran. If you tell him, even when we recite Quran that was supposed to be a book that we constantly learn about the verses of the Holy Quran and recite them in and out, probably we have come to the stage where only 2 surahs of the Holy Quran we have learned, Hamd and Qul Huwallahu Ahad, and we constantly repeat it in the prayer and nothing more. Put the Quran in front of the parents and say, can you recite Surah, even Surah Al-Qadr, Surah Al-Alaq. The beginning of the revelation to the Holy Prophet is the 5 ayat of this surah. Recite Surah Al-Alaq. We don't. We have no clue. So don't blame the children for not learning. We did not provide our children with the blueprint where we would tell them the importance of learning Quran, learning Arabic, reflection even in short surahs. In the past, when we go to the early history of Islam, people used to compete with each other. People would get married, and the mahr and the dowry was to husband to teach the wife 7 chapters of the Holy Quran. People who were captured in battle. The Holy Prophet in the Battle of Badr told them, because you are fluent, you teach the community in Medina how to write and read, and I will let you free. And now we have nothing. Amir al-Mu'mineen in his wasiyah for his son, Allah, Allah fil Quran. Be careful. The day will not come. The book, the papers will be in your hand. The essence of the Quran will be practiced by somebody else. You hold the Quran, you put it in your pocket, you kiss it over your head. During the night of Qadr and Layal al-Qadr, you read it, recite it, etc., etc. But then that's it. Pack it like Christmas decoration. Christmas decoration, as soon as it's finished, you pack it up and you put it until next Christmas. Month of Ramadan has become such an occasion. Everything that you do during the month of Ramadan, Quran or anything else, Laylatul Qadr, or the Amals, as soon as they say this, the moon is sighted, you pack them up until next month of Ramadan. Very rarely, on a regular basis, you wake up during the middle of the night to recite Quran and communicate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then you expect miracle from your children. اتخذوا هذا القرآن this Quran is now deserted because it's in your hand, but you don't structure a lifestyle that rests on the guidelines of the Holy Quran. Our children go astray, and Quran is being recited by some of these individuals to support batil and everything else, and nothing. During the last few years, we saw Daesh reciting Quran, Al-Qaeda reciting Quran. They have the mastery of Quran was such that they could do the whole Quran reverse. Mufti Saudiya recites Quran and misinterprets it to support Muhammad bin Salman or anybody else. It's the action that we need, which is absent. To support Quran that was supposed to be a book that provides guidelines to support justice and haq against batil and everything else, it has become a source of supporting tyranny, dhulm, ethnic cleansing and everything. And when this clown, as well as Netanyahu, say that the Gaza people have to get out, immediately one of the Saudi imams comes in support, says, yes, such a verse in the Holy Quran commands us to submit to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Submitting to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't need to be in a specific place. You can go anywhere and submit to the command. So leave Gaza. These are the grand scholars. So when we talk about, there is a hadith from Amir al-Mu'mineen sallallahu alaihi wasallam that says, يأتي على الناس زمان لا يبقى من القرآن إلا رسمه ومن الإسلام إلا اسمه. A time will come that from Islam only the name remains, and from Quran only the appearance, the book is in your hand, but there is nothing that you can do to rest your lifestyle on the Quran. Quran has to be central to Islam, that brings the society together, not diverges. And Amir al-Mu'minin says, if you separate from the Quran, you have killed it. So when we talk about the issue of abandoning and desertion, this is what we do. Inshallah, we will continue with this theme tomorrow night. And with the fact that this Quran is now a trust in our hand. And it is up to us that we really need to do everything that we can, not only for ourselves to learn it, for our children to learn it as well. It's not late. They are not too old that we say it's going to take too long. But they can learn if we prepare the right program for them. Inshallah. رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَاخِذْنَا إِن نَسِينَا أَوْ أَخْطَأْنَا. Oh Lord, don't punish us if we forget or if we go astray. Inshallah, during these nights, we ask Allah for forgiveness, and please keep everybody in your dua. And we'll see, inshallah, what happens until tomorrow night. If we're still alive, then we can continue the conversation. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.